Chase? Okay, cool. 1 minute out. Okay, northbound 5. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, so it's where we're at Terabella. That's the next street. Yeah. Copy. And this pursuit is now in the Pacoima area, and that's actually where it started, but we now find ourselves here on the northbound 5 freeway at Terabella. This is the LAPD's Foothill Division in pursuit of a stolen truck. We heard it come across the scanner when it was still a following, which is what leads up to a pursuit. They tried to pull the vehicle over, but the driver took off, and hence the pursuit is now here on the northbound 5 freeway, where of course the CHP can now take it over since it is on the highway. But as you see, based off of our speedometer there, this is a slow speed chase, and he's even got his hazards on. So again, this came through as a Grand Theft Auto on the scanner. So a stolen car now being pursued here by the LAPD's Foothill Division on the northbound 5 freeway in Pacoima. So the 118 is the next freeway coming up, and it has been going this slow since we got overhead. We got overhead when it was next to the LAPD's Foothill Division, which is right there at San Fernando Road and Osborne, next to our home base of Whiteman Airport. And since we've been overhead, we've noticed that it's been slow speeds the whole time with the hazards on as well. And again, at this point, we believe that it is just one male driver behind the wheel. The truck itself looks like a newer Chevy truck, perhaps, with some equipment there in the back. I can see one ladder at least, but heavily tinted windows, so it's difficult for me to see inside beyond that. Let me widen out and we can count together. I did see at least 2 earlier, but it looks like they may be trailing back just a little bit to give him a little bit of room. I'm seeing 3, so seeing 3 units of the LAPD behind the vehicle, but they're trying to give him a little bit of room. And there's the airship overhead. It's the LAPD airship overhead. And he got overhead before it was a pursuit, when it was still a following. That's what they typically like to do, is to have the airship overhead before they attempt to pull the vehicle over. Just in case it does turn into a pursuit, then the LAPD air assets are already there. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. As soon as they tried to pull over the truck, he decided he wasn't stopping, and the pursuit was on. You are correct, Chuck, transitioning onto the westbound 118 freeway from the 5. So this is going to put us into the Mission Hills area. If he continues on, we'll end up in Porter Ranch, Simi Valley, and eventually the 118 freeway ends at the 23. So hopefully it doesn't go that far and he decides to pull over before then, but he does appear to be picking up speed here as he makes that transition here onto the westbound 118. Yeah, and we only saw him on the right-hand lanes when he was on that northbound 5. So now that he's on the 118, we'll see if he decides to stick to any of the other lanes. But as I widen out the traffic, you're going to get a feel here for the traffic situation. Really not too much on the westbound side, but the opposite side, look at that heavy traffic. They're headed east on the 118. So he got lucky in this case because it looks like, as far as my eye can see here from the helicopter, I'm not seeing any traffic coming up ahead on this westbound side. Yeah, for now, it looks like he's pretty much going to be staying on this 118, and he's going to have to move over.
On if they need to, actually minimizing the risk to the community, of course, drivers around that, and the driver himself or herself. Most of the time in tracking mode, the LAPD ground units are always nearby, even if the tracking mode is just with the chopper. So we'll see the units, if we're on the surface streets, maybe a couple blocks behind this actual person as their unit above is calling out the radio location. So tracking mode, of course, different for various agencies, but that's what it means for the LAPD.
So it sounds like basically, Susie, they go into almost a stealth mode. The driver that is behind the wheel here of this truck has no idea that the officers have pulled away, but most likely they're not too far, perhaps getting ahead of the truck on surface streets just to alert the community, but they're not too far away, so it's good for the public to know. It's not like they just totally give up on him. Of course, we have our eyes, Desmond up in the chopper, but police also monitoring the situation. And with these great lenses that these helicopters have, they can be watching from quite a distance. And again, making this driver think perhaps that he's given them the slip, right?
Sure. Desmond, how far are those units behind this person now?
They are really, really far. In fact, I don't see any units back for at least a quarter mile. I can't even fit them in the same shot as the truck right now if I widen all the way out. So they are definitely giving this person a lot of space. Not seeing any crazy driving at this point. We're really pretty close to the speed limit here on the westbound 118 as we make our way through Granada Hills. I was just noticing here, this truck does not have a sunroof, so it's possible that he or she may not be able to see the LAPD helicopter that's overhead. So if they're directly overhead, maybe this person is thinking, hey, I got away with one, and they're going to calm down. They're going to go about doing whatever it is that they were doing, and then once they get off the freeway, maybe they pull into a shopping center or into a cul-de-sac. That's when LAPD can move in and take the necessary steps to put this person in handcuffs. So that may be the strategy at this point right now, because there are no units nearby. But like you said, Susie, all of LAPD in the North Valley right now, you've got Devonshire, Foothill, Mission Division. They're all aware of this. All units that are standing by in different locations, if they're not on an active call, they're kind of painting the mental picture right now. Westbound 118 approaching Balboa, and so they may be able to jump into action if need be when the opportunity presents itself.
How does traffic look ahead of the pursuit there, Desmond? Because as you've been saying, freeway speeds, cars are even passing him on the right-hand side there. It looks like traffic is pretty good at this hour.
Yeah, absolutely. It is pretty easy. The westbound side is definitely the lighter volume side in the afternoon. Really no issues headed towards Simi Valley and Ventura County. Eastbound, bit of a different story as you come out of the Santa Susana Pass. That's a little bit clogged up getting through Granada Hills and the 405, but no issues for this suspect right here as far as traffic goes as we make our way now towards the Porter Ranch and Simi Valley.
So you wonder why the LAPD actually went into tracking mode. As Desmond was talking about, we didn't see any erratic driving or speeding for that matter. And a lot of times what the law enforcement agencies will do is kind of weigh their options, do the balance test, the balance check test, if you will. If we pursue this person, if we're driving, right behind them, are they going to go faster and cause some sort of accident or some sort of trouble for drivers around them? Because obviously right now they have many drivers on the freeway around them right now. But again, it could just be that right now it's a stolen car pursuit. If this was, something of a more serious nature, like someone with a weapon, someone who actually harmed somebody, they know they want to get this person, that would be a very different story. But it doesn't look like at this point they're in a rush to get this person, if you will. Desmond, where are we now?
I would concur with that, Susie. We make our way towards Porter Ranch. We're going to be crossing Tampa here pretty quickly. my understanding is that it's really kind of up to the individual watch commander with how aggressive they want to be with this. We have some watch commanders that just say, no, it's not worth it. This is a non-violent crime. We don't want to get into a crazy pursuit and have this, end in a crash with an innocent person being injured or something like that. And then there are other watch commanders that may be more aggressive and say, hey, this is a stolen vehicle. We don't know what else may be going on. Why is this person running? Let's stay with this. So it sounds like from what we're seeing right now, they're taking a more cautious, a more conservative approach to this, a kind of on again, off again pursuit, or tracking mode, which I think officially we are calling it tracking mode at the moment.
And of course, every pursuit or situation where a driver is being tracked is very different. In the past, we've seen some really crazy pursuits here on CBS 2 and KCAL 9 as well. Big rigs, box trucks, all sorts of vehicles being chased by police. And this one is, we've seen pursuits like this before, or cars that go into tracking mode where it just looks like we're following a car driving down the freeway with not a lot of activity. It looks like he's stopped blinking the hazards. I did see him use an indicator moving into the left lane. And I mean, look at this. Again, cars to the left and right of him actually passing him by. So not at any high rate of speed whatsoever, Desmond.
Yeah, not a high rate of speed at all. I mean, in fact, you see probably a lot of annoyed drive. Oh, now, okay, there's the spotlight right now coming on by LAPD. So it may be a sign that they're re-entering pursuit mode. We'll just see what happens with that. They are, okay, units are coming directly behind right now.
There they are.
And this is still LAPD. Yeah, and this is still LAPD even though we're on CHP. So, and then, look at this now. We see the speeds begin to pick back up a little bit. So we're just going to have to see how this suspect responds to the sudden spotlight when they may have been under the impression that they got away with this or that the police were no longer pursuing them. But now realizing that that is not the case, LAPD back in pursuit. They are very nearby here as we get ready to leave Porter Ranch, and we'll start heading uphill towards the Santa Susana Pass in Simi Valley.
If you're just joining us here on CBS 2 News at 5, this is breaking news of a pursuit happening right now. The LAPD chasing the driver of a full-size pickup truck. As you see here, the hazard lights were on at the beginning of the pursuit, throughout the pursuit, and then as Juan just mentioned, it looks like this person turned their hazards off for whatever reason, and we just saw the LAPD chopper overhead turning back their spotlight back onto this truck. So it looks like they're going to be re-engaging in this pursuit. As we mentioned, it was in tracking mode just minutes ago. There were units originally behind this truck, and then they backed off for whatever reason it was, whether it be some sort of, perhaps they thought it was dangerous, perhaps they were changing units, who knows. But at this point, it looks like the chase is back on again.
And of course, now it's a little darker out there, Susie. We're past sunset. The things on the road getting darker, so perhaps that night sun that they're basically putting on top of the truck is to make sure that he knows. I mean, if the police behind him don't give him that indication, is that the pursuit is on. They're watching him not only from the ground, but from the air as well. And as Desmond was showing us, picking up speeds just a little bit. I'm still amazed, though, at just how light traffic is heading westbound on the 118 freeway now.
At this hour.
At this hour.
Yeah, it's just kind of, the 118 is a surprisingly easy freeway overall compared to so many of the other freeways. Obviously, compared to the 405 or even the 101, even eastbound right now, the volume side, the delay is not going to be more than maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And westbound, there's seldom any issues as long as there's no crashes or stalled vehicles or anything like that. And as I look ahead over the Santa Susana Pass into Simi Valley, I don't see anything that's going to slow this suspect down. Let's see now. He just made his way over towards the exit lane, though.
All right.
Is this going to come to a sudden ending? So I believe we're getting off at Topanga Canyon here.
No kidding.
Last exit before, and just coming to an abrupt stop, going right from the left lane all the way to the right, to the exit lanes. LAPD is right there. Let's see if, maybe the suspect just needed some time to collect their emotions, and hopefully they're just going to give this one up peacefully. We'll just have to see how this ends here.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going towards the right, which is a good, Desmond. That would mean he's most likely going to get off the freeway. He had that chance a few seconds ago of continuing back on the freeway, but now that option has been taken away, and you can see here traffic is heavier there on the off-ramp, and the driver's basically staying still there. as they're watching this pursuit go right by them. It's amazing.
No
huh?
kidding. We thought that they might stop right there on the freeway right before the exit, but it looks like they're continuing now on surface streets as the LAPD is still in chase. They just re-engaged actually this driver now making a very dangerous U-turn, obviously, because it's a red light against a red light. But it looks like the LAPD is following. So now we think about how are they going to stop this person? Are they going to go for a pit maneuver, as we often see? Are they going to lay out some spike strips? There are a number of ways they can stop this, but of course they're going to, do that balance check test again, if you will. They're going to make sure that whatever they're doing, they're going to take the priority. The priority, of course, the main priority is going to be the public safety. And so when you do a pit maneuver or things like that, of course, they're going to be talking about ways that they can do that as they're in chase right now.
And if they can
areas,
do it, Susie,
exactly,
right? Because this is a
areas where
very
they
heavy
can.
truck, and
Sure, it's a
wondering
narrow
if the
street.
LAPD can do it.
Exactly.
All right, again, this pursuit continuing now. A more dangerous situation, of course, once it makes its way onto surface streets. And again, he's been very fortunate. Look, traffic heading in the other direction, definitely a lot heavier. Not the case where he's driving now, going through another intersection. And Susie, it looks like he's going through another red light there. So going at slow speeds, obviously cars around can figure out what's going on there. Not a lot of pedestrians in the area, so that is definitely some good news. But as Desmond was saying, perhaps this guy is, or this gal is collecting their thoughts and trying to figure out when's the best time to pull over.
Sure, or sometimes they just pull over and stop and then keep going, as we've seen so many times, Juan, where we think, oh, it's coming to an end. And then they keep going and then stopping, or keep going and stopping. We've seen it where they're actually doing that the entire time, stopping and going, stopping and going, stopping and going. And we've also seen what we've seen just now, stopping for just a moment and then continuing on.
Yeah. And I think the hazards are back on. Is that right, Desmond? Does it look like the hazards are blinking once again?
Yeah, the hazards are back on. Very peculiar. Right as this person got off of the freeway, we saw them slap those hazard lights on. As we are southbound on Topanga, going down a pretty steep hill, pretty close to a popular hiking destination, Stony Point. I believe that was just a Chatsworth that we crossed right now. You can see all that northbound traffic. There was quite a bit as people head up towards the 118. But once again, the suspect is going against traffic. He went westbound 118, the easier side, and now southbound Topanga, also the easier half of the commute here, making our way down towards Chatsworth and Canoga Park if they continue southbound Topanga. So, it looked for a second like they were getting ready to give up, but then they squeezed all the way to the right there on Topanga. We saw him go through, he or she go through a couple of red lights. And still not the crazy speeds, but still, went through some red lights. So, hopefully they're just headed somewhere. Sometimes we see these suspects prefer to give up in their driveway or something like that. Hopefully they're not thinking of going somewhere where they can run inside and start a standoff situation. It's just unclear, too hard to say at this point. But we are now on some surface streets, so definitely changes the tactics here a little bit. We're going at slow enough speeds that spike strips may be a good option here, especially with the suspect giving LAPD plenty of time to make considerations, especially if they're going to stay on the same street or if they start circling anywhere. So that is certainly in LAPD's arsenal now that we're on surface streets.
Yeah, and it looks like we're getting word into our newsroom, Desmond, that may be the case. Spike strips would be the best way to go with this because apparently LAPD is concerned the pickup truck is just a little too heavy and big for the pit maneuver. Of course, wondering if even their cruisers could handle a pit maneuver on a car this size, and apparently that's not an option right now. So we could see some spike strips now that he's moving slowly on these surface streets here. Sometime pretty soon. Yeah,
and when we watch it on TV, it seems like, just throwing some spike strips out there is such an easy thing for officers to do, but it's actually, it takes a lot of methodical, training, obviously, a lot of just thinking ahead and planning. They got to know which way the suspect is traveling, obviously, to put one down. They got to deploy a unit far ahead enough to get the spike strip out, and in an area where the suspect can't veer around it, which we've also often seen. And so many factors come into play when they're trying to do something like this. The LAPD will do spike strips, even on the freeway, if they're not going too fast. And Juan, you were just talking about the speed of this driver, and they haven't been going too fast at all, even on the freeways. And on the surface streets, looks like they're going actually rather slow. and not many cars around them. So we'll see what their tactic is going to be. But if they're going to do a spike strip, they're going to want to get ahead. And they also have to put it out there and get the officer out of harm's way as well. So lots going to happen if that's, in fact, the strategy that they're looking at.
Yeah, a friend of mine who monitors a lot of these pursuits just sent me a message that this is a Chevy Silverado 3500. Apparently, this is one of their strongest, most capable Silverados of the Chevy fleet. So we know this car can definitely handle a workload. We see a ladder in the bed of the truck there, so we know this is being used as a work truck. You can see there's 4 doors basically, so it's almost a car where you can carry quite a bit of people as well, a truck where you can carry quite a lot of people as well. So here we have a truck going at pretty much slow speeds, being followed by the LAPD. We know so far it is a stolen truck. And here we are, Susie, look at this, approaching some heavier traffic here at an intersection. And
Want to make a left turn, perhaps?
Yeah, let's see what he's going to do. This is going to go right through.
Just go straight through. And is that against yet another red light?
Hey, Desmond, this is pretty much a straight shot south, isn't it? I think I know what street he's on.
Yeah, it's on southbound Topanga Canyon right
Topanga
now.
Canyon,
and frankly,
right.
this suspect's just kind of cruising along, not even going the speed limit. We're just talking maybe 25, 30 miles an hour, has the hazards on for whatever reason. I think the fastest speeds we saw maybe 70, 75 when we were on that 118, but even going really slowly through the intersections there, it appeared that was a green light that the suspect went through, looking like they were going to make a left, but then they ended up just going through the intersection. So, yeah, and the other thing too, we were talking about the pit maneuver is with the way this person is going, there's really no reason to even attempt one, even if this was just a small passenger vehicle. This is evening rush hour traffic. You got a lot of moving cars on the opposite side of the street. You have a lot of parked cars on the right side. If you try to pit, even if it's a successful pit, you're likely to cause a lot of property damage. So certainly not something that LAPD is thinking about right now when we're considering basically the circumstance, nonviolent crime, not driving like a maniac at the moment. Just the worst is if they're not pulling over. Hopefully this suspect doesn't have a full gas tank and isn't, hoping to pull a pursuit like we saw with the semi a couple of weeks ago that ended up being 12 hours. So hopefully not going to be something like that. But right now, LAPD just kind of content to see how this goes. Maybe they'll get the opportunity to set some spike strips up at some point and bring this to a more timely conclusion. But at the moment, LAPD seems to be perfectly content to just kind of ride behind this person and cruise along with them and pull them over when the right opportunity presents them, or bring this to an end, when the right opportunity presents itself.
Yeah. Desmond, how many units are behind this truck?
I believe there's at least 3. I'll just widen out really quickly. 3, yeah, I see 3 units. And this started, I believe, in LAPD's Foothill Division. We first heard about this back in the Pacoima area around Osborne and San Fernando. And then you saw we traced over towards the 5, 118, and now southbound on Topanga. So basically gone from the East Valley to the West Valley as we continue to roll along here. Southbound Topanga Canyon will be in Canoga Park here shortly.
Well, my goodness, and here we are. Looks like the hazards are back on again. A slow speed pursuit of a stolen pickup truck. Still don't know how many people are inside, but most likely at this point, it most likely will be one person. Just based on what we've been watching here. Very slow speeds, and we've already ruled out that the pit maneuver is most likely not going to be used tonight. And since this truck has been going down to Topanga Canyon for quite a long, now he's making a turn. Where is this?
Making a turn here. Yeah, okay, so now we're getting into some residential streets. This may be Mayall Street. So starting to think that maybe the suspect is, going somewhere where they have an idea that this is not just random. We'll see how this plays out, but maybe heading towards their residence or friend's house. Hopefully to surrender, we'll just have to see.
And look at that, he can't go too fast, Desmond. Every few feet there's another speed bump right in front of him. So that'll definitely slow things down, which is good for the community and anybody who might be out there.
Yeah, being in a residential area, it looks like you're going to make maybe a U-turn. It looks like they're kind of pulling over, stopping here for a second time.
I think they put it in park.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Out of the vehicle.
Wow, that was fast.
All right. This
So
is
fast.
Wow, that was really fast.
Yeah, usually officers want you to stay inside the car, throw your keys out the window, put your hands out the window, and then follow their commands after that. But they just came out of the car.
He knew they're not playing around, right?
Yeah.
So he is most likely, like most of us, have seen these things unfold, and we know that's exactly what officers want them to do. Normally, they want them to lift up their shirt, do a little twirl to make sure there are no hidden weapons. In this case, look, now we're watching him crawling and almost doing that soldier crawl on the asphalt there, away from the truck. They probably want him away from the truck as much as possible. Is that right, Desmond?
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of weird for LAPD. This guy, look, he immediately got down, then he's back up, and he's got his hands up, and he's walking away.
Yeah.
They want him to walk.
They want him
to walk towards them. So, okay, here we go. He seems extremely frazzled right now. And, this is, walking back, frankly, maybe a little too quickly. This is kind of nerve-wracking.
He is going very
LAPD.
fast.
Yeah. And, kind of not very straight either.
Yeah.
But they got him.
Okay, there you go.
All right. They're now in custody. A little bit nerve-wracking, but
it was.
They got the person in custody, and that's what matters. Now let's see if there's anyone else in this vehicle. It does not appear so, looking through that open door right now, but we've got one now officially in custody. LAPD will be coming up to clear the vehicle, and hopefully we'll see 4 fingers up, which means code 4, which will mean all clear.
Yeah, unnerving, because we actually didn't see the suspect pull up his shirt, Ron, as you were talking about. They'll actually make you, pull up your shirt on the front and the back so they can see your waistband and make sure there's no weapons or guns that they can see. It looks like they're going to go check and clear the car right now. Many officers doing that after the suspect was just arrested. But like we were saying, it was really weird there for a second. Kind of wobbling around and maybe, was confused by the directions of the officers, was doing his own thing for a minute when he just sort of jumped out of the car initially after he came to a sudden stop on the street here. And then they were telling him various things, I'm sure, and looks like he finally got up and did the right thing by walking backwards with his hands up.
Most likely his adrenaline was really going, right, Susie? So he threw himself to the ground, and then obviously officers gave him the command to stand back up and walk backwards towards them. And a short time ago, I think I saw the second officer there raise his hands and give the code 4, which means the truck is clear, nobody else is there, and the pursuit suspect is in custody.
All right, so that was the end of a pursuit. Suspect now in custody in West Hills. Sky 2 and Desmond Shaw live overhead. We'll have more news after a short break.
Water. In these uncertain times, it's so important. So is our community. And we're doing our part because we care deeply about both. As an essential business, Soul Wave Water is staying open and ready to serve all of your water needs.